So, greetings, friends. Today's talk is about the method that the Buddha taught, the meditation method called shamatha vipassana. Shamatha means to quiet the mind or to develop a tranquil mind by being mindful of the breath. Vipassana means to gain insight, and it's a very specific insight. Insight into the impermanence of all things, but most importantly, the three marks of existence: anicca, impermanence, the not self characteristic, and the interplay between those two, rooted in ignorance, that results in ongoing disappointing experiences, meaning dukkha. The Buddha taught one singular meditation method for his entire teaching career. What has developed since then is an almost infinite number of meditations and techniques that are called meditation that are more accurately described as contemplation. And I'm not going to get into a description or even an explanation of all the later developed meditation techniques and even meditation techniques that were developed prior to the Buddha's birth or even his awakening. He tried the different meditation methods that were prevalent at his time and rejected them as not leading to the goal. His sole purpose for using meditation as part of his Eightfold Path was to deepen concentration, to offset the conditioned mind's natural tendency towards remaining distracted. And again, that really is the sole purpose of the Buddha's meditation method. And then the importance of developing a tranquil mind supporting insight is what this, the Kimsuka Sutta is all about. And the reason why that's significant is if you look at most of the meditation methods, but specifically the ones that are rooted more in Hindu culture or yoga culture, rather than what the Buddha actually taught, there's all subtle and sometimes not so subtle focus that simply increases ignorance, increases I-making, and seeks to either escape the problems of the world or to establish the self or a focus of the self, meaning the thinking process, in an external imaginary environment. Again, I don't want to go too deep into that because this will end up being too long of a talk. The thing that to remember most importantly, as a practitioner of what the Buddha taught, and notice I'm not using the words as a Buddhist practitioner because practicing what the Buddha taught is often significantly different than just general Buddhism. But if one is interested in practicing what an awakened human being taught, one should practice what that human being actually taught. And consistently throughout the Pali Canon, the singular method of shamatha vipassana and the instructions for meditation are very clear and presented consistently in other suttas. The purpose of deepening concentration or samadhi is in the Samadhi Sutta. The importance of shamatha vipassana in tandem is in this sutta, Kimsuka Sutta, the Yogananda Sutta, and a few other suttas. And how to meditate is first taught in the four foundations of mindfulness: to simply be mindful of the breath in the body, to be not distracted. I'm simplifying the four foundations quite drastically, but to be mindful of the breath in the body, to be mindful of feelings and thoughts passing away, and finally to be mindful of the present quality of mind. There's articles on the website about the Satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness. And then in the Anapanasati Sutta, also on the website, the Buddha teaches not how to meditate in that sutta, but what to do with impermanent states arising and passing away during meditation. And the Kimsuka Sutta is similar in that vein, in pointing back to the being mindful of the arising and passing away of phenomena. In this sutta, the Buddha interjects himself into a conversation that two other monks are having about what they've learned about meditation. So two monks of the Buddha Sangha were talking. One asked the other, to what extent is one's vision said to be well purified? The other monk responded, when one knows as it actually is the origination and the passing away of the sixth sense base, it is to this extent that one's vision is said to be well purified. And of course, the sixth sense base is one of the conditions mentioned in Dependent Origination and many other places, the importance of understanding what is occurring through the sixth sense base. Dissatisfied with that answer, he asked another monk the same question. When one knows as it actually is the origination and the passing away of the five clinging aggregates, it is to this extent that one's vision is said to be well purified. So the Buddha described the five clinging aggregates in his description of dukkha as the ongoing personal experience of suffering. And when we can recognize the impermanence in that, from that point of view, it's very clearly that we will cease being concerned about anything that is occurring because we understand the impermanence of all phenomena. Still dissatisfied, he asked another monk the same question. When one knows as it actually is the origination and the passing away of the four great elements of earth, fire, wind, and water, it is to this extent that one's vision is said to be well purified. When you understand the impermanence of the physical world and our physical bodies, when you truly understand it. Now, these answers are pointing to deep penetrative knowledge of these different concepts and conditions. Still dissatisfied, he asked another monk the same question. When one knows as it actually is that all conditioned things are subject to cessation, it is to this extent that one vision is said to be well purified. That relates directly to the first sutta the Buddha ever taught on the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, setting the Four Noble Truths as the foundation for all of his teachings. Upon hearing that teaching, Khandana declared that, yeah, all conditioned things that arise are subject to cessation. The Buddha said to Khandana, you are now Anakhandana, the one who understands. Understanding at that profound level. Excuse me, I have to. Bodhi. Sorry about that. Let me get back to the... Bodhi, stop. Come here. Sorry about that, folks. Still dissatisfied, he seeks the Buddha out, and he tells him of the answers to his questions. The Buddha replies, friends, it is as if a man had never seen a certain tree that changes appearance often, a difficult to describe tree, a riddle tree. He would ask someone to describe a riddle tree. They say that this tree is black as a burnt stump. This is how the tree should be looked at the time. Dissatisfied with this answer, they ask another to describe the riddle tree. They tell him that this tree has no bark and its pods explode. This is how the tree should be looked at. Dissatisfied with this answer, they ask still another to describe the riddle tree. They tell him that this tree has thick foliage with dense shade. This is how the tree should be looked at this time. In this way, what these people of integrity were focused on when their vision became well purified is the way that they answered. And this is not that there's a riddle to the Dhamma, but this is an important clue towards understanding the Dhamma. There's many aspects of the Dhamma that, when understood, act as the foundation for complete understanding or complete right view. The Buddha continues, suppose, friend, that there were a royal fortress with strong walls and ramparts and 6 gates. In it would be a wise, experienced, intelligent gatekeeper to keep out those he didn't know and let in those he did. A swift pair of messengers coming from the east would say to the gatekeeper, where, my good man, is the commander of this fortress? He would say, there he is, sir, sitting in the central square. The swift pair of messengers, delivering their accurate report to the commander of the fortress, would then go back by the route in which they had come. Then a swift pair of messengers coming from the west, the north, the south, would say to the gatekeeper, "Where, my good man, is the commander of this fortress?" He would say, "There he is, sir, sitting in the central square." The swift pair of messengers, delivering their accurate report to the commander of the fortress, would then go back by the route which they had come. The Buddha continues, "I have given you this simile, friend, to convey a message. The message is this. The fortress stands for this body, composed of 4 elements, born of mother and father, nourished with rice and barley gruel, subject to constant rubbing and abrasion, to breaking and falling apart. The 6 gates stand for the 6 internal sense media, the sixth sense base. The gatekeeper stands for mindfulness. The swift pair of messengers stands for tranquility or shamatha, and insight, vipassana." So the simile then is pointing to the importance of having both of those swift messengers working for us in our meditation practice. Tranquility, developing a tranquil mind, and gaining useful insight. The commander of the fortress stands for our consciousness, and that points directly to an essential part of the Buddha's Dhamma, gaining control of the way we think and thinking what we want to think when we want to think it, as the Buddha referred to in the Pitaka Sutta. Gaining control of our thinking is becoming the commander of our own fortress. The central square then stands for the 4 great elements, the earth property, the liquid property, the fire property, and the wind property, meaning who we are. The accurate report stands for unbinding. Accurate report meaning it reflects reality. So we now understand the true nature of reality through practicing shamatha, vipassana, meditation appropriately within the broader framework of the Eightfold Path. And that understanding leads to unbinding or letting go, releasing oneself from clinging. The route by which they had come stands for the Eightfold Path. And notice how the Buddha referred to when the swift pair of messengers left, they left by the same path. And that is another important line that is often overlooked because it seems so innocuous. We develop the path and maintain mindfulness by staying on the path and continually being on that route of the Eightfold Path. And then he concludes by saying, it stands for the Noble Eightfold Path of right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, and right mindfulness. Right mindfulness and right meditation. That's the end of the sutta. So this simple and direct and rather concise sutta points to two very important concepts. One is the use of proper meditation or right meditation as the Buddha taught it. Now, he wouldn't go on and teach this. Again, he'd never taught any other meditation, and he wouldn't put so much emphasis on shamatha vipassana in tandem if it wasn't singularly important. One of the most remarkable things when reading the Sutta Pitakas is even though the Buddha uses an awful lot of words, he doesn't waste one word. Every single word the Buddha uses is well focused and in the context of developing understanding of Four Noble Truths. It was the only thing the Buddha was concerned about, and the only thing that he taught as far as the 8th factor of the Eightfold Path, right meditation, developing profound concentration, was shamatha vipassana in tandem. So in practice, we developed that first part of shamatha by using the 4 foundations of mindfulness. By sitting in meditation, we first become mindful of the breath in the body. That begins to calm the mind. And then as the mind calms, usually it's just for a few moments, that will be distracted by feelings arising and passing away, and thoughts arising and passing away. And sometimes it feels like it's a thought that initiates a feeling. Sometimes a feeling initiates a thought. But it really doesn't matter the context. The point is that as we're sitting in meditation, we become mindful of the sensation of breathing. We're pointing our minds towards tranquility, towards shamatha. And a thought or a feeling arises that distracts us from being mindful of our breath. When we find that we're distracted in that way, we simply come back to the sensation of breathing. And that that increases concentration, and it increases a tranquil mind. A mind that is well concentrated is also a mind that is calm and at peace, which is exactly how the Buddha described an awakened quality of mind, calm and at peace. Now, as we deepen our concentration and our tranquility increases, we're able to then gain insight, vipassana, into the 3 marks of existence. And that often doesn't occur, and it shouldn't be looked for in meditation. We shouldn't be seeking out insight. When it naturally arises, that's fine, but it can also be a distraction if we start looking for impermanence in every thought that arises. Shamatha Vipassana meditation is for deepening concentration, and then it is the overall framework, the refined mindfulness of the Eightfold Path, that develops the profound understanding of impermanence, the not self characteristic, and the resulting dukkha, that allows us to then recognize and abandon our own contributions to conditioned, confused thinking. And in that way, resting in a well concentrated and peaceful mind, gaining control, thinking what we want to think when we want to think it, we can then develop awakening, full human maturity, which means simply seeing and understanding life as it actually occurs. And what it is, it's actually experiencing that. So that's my talk on the Kimsuka Sutta. Thank you, folks, for joining me. If you find benefit from this talk, please consider a donation at becoming-buddha.com. And sorry for the dog barking there for a few minutes. Thank you. Peace.